Darkcast Network. Indie pods with a dark side.
Are you tired of hearing about the Ted Bundys and Jeffrey Dahmers on True Crime podcasts? I thought so. We've got something just for you. I'm Pat.
And I'm Darcy, and we are the hosts of Pod of Terror, a true crime podcast that dives into lesser-known cases from around the world.
Grab a glass of wine and join us every Thursday as we discuss the most vile, despicable human beings on the planet.
It'll be a dark and twisted journey, so don't forget your drink. You're gonna need it.
We're looking forward to seeing you next Thursday.
Devil is on his way. Devil is on his way, motherfucker. The devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees. Devil is on his way. Fall to your knees. Devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees. Devil is on his way. Motherfucker, he's on his...
Hey, y'all. Welcome back to Mountain Murders.
I'm Dylan.
And she's Heather.
How you doing, Dylan?
I'm doing great.
You having a great day?
Yes, I think I've finally found my barber.
We are in the month of June already, June 2026. I'm telling you, Dylan, this year has flown by. Time just seems like, I don't know, like it's so short now.
Well, it does, but you can't just gloss over the fact that I think I found my barber.
Well, congratulations.
When I've been barberless for years now.
I'm happy for you.
Oh, my gosh.
Let's celebrate.
I've been in the weeds, y'all.
Let's have a moment of silence for your new barber.
I think.
He's got to work around that big head.
Yeah, he has plenty to do. He has a hard job. It takes a lot of talent to really make this head look presentable. And I had the same barber for years. I'm sure people were wondering. And then we moved.
They were very concerned.
Then we moved, and you can ask Heather. I have tried quite a few females, males, cheap, expensive, crazy expensive, and I don't know what to do. But now I have found him.
I really like the last barber that you found on social media, and you were super stoked about checking this guy out, and then he had you looking like somebody's abuelita.
Oh, my God.
You look like a Mexican grandmother.
And there's actually, I think there's TikTok video of that because he insisted I sit for like
with
a
the
consult.
curl, like, yeah. You look like you had a poodle perm.
I look like somebody's Jewish grandmother.
No, I think it was more like a Mexican grandmother.
Oh, my gosh.
It was amazing.
Yeah, but I'm back now. All right.
You're ridiculous, Dylan. All right, before we get started, I wanted to make a quick announcement for folks who are in and around the Asheville area. If you are looking for something fun to do, mark your calendars because, fuck yeah, it's Fall Fest 2026.
Oh, my gosh.
Is happening at the Sly Grog in Asheville on September 25th. It starts at 5 p.m. And yes, Mountain Murders will be there. Because we say fuck a lot, so of course we're going to be at the Fuck Yeah Festival.
So it's really called the Fuck Yeah, it's Fall Festival?
Bro, it's called the Fuck Yeah, it's Fall Festival.
Then you know we got to come because you know what? Fresh off a 1-star review, they pointed out that we say fuck a lot.
Yes. Well, it was a really funny review because we say fuck a lot. We give them a warning. And then it went on to say something like, my granny's rolling over in her grave. And I went to social media to explain that there's no way my granny's rolling over in her grave because she was cremated. But she might be looking out of her ash can at you, telling you to fuck off.
Right.
Because, yeah.
Because your granny was a cusser.
She was a cusser. Come on. My Nana had tattoos that she started getting when she was in her, like, mid-60s. Almost 70. The woman had quite a mouth on her. And you know what? She loved our podcast.
There you go. And
she really did.
They also said we were trying to be the cool kids, right?
Yeah, we're dorks who try to be cool. And, you know, I've always been a dork, and I embrace that. The cool kids used to beat me up and shove me in my locker and call me a weirdo and a freak, you know, because I wasn't, you know, I didn't conform, I suppose, to the uniform of normalcy at school.
A dork trying to be a cool kid is a compliment to me, and I embrace that. And to know that I'm still trying to achieve that at 48 years old.
Yeah.
So I'm living my best life.
Well, the other part of that kind of weirded me out because I'm an adult, so like I'm not trying to sit with the cool kids. I mean, that's kind of weird, right? I'm not Epstein, and I'm not even sure what qualifies as cool these days because I've seen young people and they're not cool.
It's a long sleeve shirt with a short sleeve shirt over it.
The broccoli heads, right?
That makes you cool.
6'7". I don't know what any of that means, right? But I see kids jumping around, parkouring or whatever, saying it. So I guess it's a thing.
They get very excited. All right, so here we are in the Mountain Murder Studio. Heather, where are we going to go next?
All right, Dylan, this is a case that I have wanted to cover for a hot while. When the news broke, when the story broke back in 2020, it was just before COVID really ramped up. Like we were hearing about COVID, but we hadn't quite been quarantined yet. But this captured my attention, and I'm telling you, like all through 2020, I was like obsessed with this crime story.
This is one of those stories that really stays with you. If you have any kind of a heart or any sensibilities about you, it's one of those things that's going to haunt you.
And I'm going to go ahead and preface, this will be a 2-part episode because it's a big case and there's a lot to cover. If you hear noise in the background, we are not hosting an MMA fight. We just have kitties going crazy.
Yes, and if
they've been sleeping all day and they've been waiting for us to record. They were like just waiting, like hit the record button, and now they're climbing, like literally climbing the curtains and throwing each other around, doing like these little kamikaze moves, biting, grabbing tail. Yeah.
And if you're interested in a Mountain Murders kitten, hit us up at mountainmurderspodcast@gmail.com. We may have the crazy kitty for you.
No, we're not going to rehunt.
No, you can't keep them all. You
can't. We'll talk about it some other time.
You're already crazy. You can't be the cat lady, too.
We'll talk about this later.
All right.
Okay, this is a conversation for off the air. I'm keeping them. All right, let's get into this, Dylan. Are you ready?
Let's get started.
You've never been more ready.
I was born ready.
You've never been readier. The most ready.
Look at this head. Can't you tell I'm ready?
Well, okay. Megan Boswell was born in March of 2001, as far as I could find. The exact date I'm not sure of. To parents Tommy Boswell Sr. and Angela Mae Jones. Angela goes by Angel. I will be referring to her as Angel throughout. In East Tennessee, Tommy's parents, Danny and Mary, were described as devout, godly people who attended church regularly. Danny raised horses and was an animal lover. Tommy Sr. grew up with 3 sisters and a brother.
Now, have you ever known an angel in your life?
I have known an angel.
Okay.
I've actually known a couple of angels.
Oh.
I have a distant cousin named Angel. I don't really know her that well. She's older than me.
I would say it, Angel.
Yeah.
That's how I would say it.
I have to say the other Angel that I knew, I went to school, like elementary up to middle school, and she had a baby when we were in like the 7th grade or 8th grade.
Wow.
But for some reason, like she hated me, and I don't know why.
Damn, you think her
like
little...
I don't know. It's like she just always gave me these shit-eating looks and like hated, like from the time we were kids. So I don't know why, but she really didn't like me.
You think her little middle school baby hated you too?
Probably.
Damn.
Dude, her middle school baby's probably like 35 now. I mean, for real.
Damn.
Anyway.
It's just a little middle school baby just going, it's like pushing people around and shit. It's got like an attitude, dude.
Yeah, she didn't return after having the baby, so I don't know what ever became of her. We had art class together, and she was very with child. She was very with child.
She's making like a baby paper mache.
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally. She made a paper mache crib, Dylan. Now, Angel's parents were from Virginia. Her father served in the military and later became a truck driver. Angel met Tommy when she was young, around 15 years old. They began dating despite their age difference. Okay, so Tommy is an adult at this point, Tommy Sr. He has no business dating Angel. I mean, he's a lot older than her.
Well, there's a lot of stories that are like that, you know, and many instances you have the parents of the youth, if you will, that it's like they don't care. And I've always found that weird.
Well, it was only in 1993 that they met. A lot of people will be like, well, times were different. But even in 1993, a 15-year-old had no business dating a guy in his 20s.
No, there's no time, except for maybe like frontier time, right? Everybody's trying to get it in before they die when they're 35. That's okay. In the modern society, I'm sorry, there's no set of circumstances that makes that okay.
I feel like anything pre maybe 1930s, that's kind of like when people say, oh, well, back then, that time period's when I think of. I don't think of 1993, right?
No, not 1993. Not for that.
By all accounts, Megan grew up in Sullivan County in the far northeastern corner of Tennessee. It is part of the Tri-Cities, Kingsport, Bristol, and Johnson City. Blountville is the county seat, and Kingsport is the largest city in Sullivan County. It lies on the border of Virginia and is known for its deep Appalachian roots. Many know the area for the Bristol Motor Speedway, one of NASCAR's most famous short tracks. Race weekends are huge in Bristol, drawing fans from all over. It's an important economic driver in the area. And I know that our friend of the pod, Renee, she's been to Bristol many a time.
I bet she knows all about Bristol.
She sure does. And
I bet she done lost her shirt in Bristol.
We'll have to ask her, Dylan. But yeah, NASCAR, of course, we all know it's huge. And Bristol, very popular spot for races.
You know, it's funny. I'm listening to a Business War series on NASCAR versus the Indy cars.
Okay.
Right. And it's very interesting because NASCAR, took root here in America. It's been very popular, very, very popular. And for years, the Indy cars tried to make inroads. They were run by kind of a cartel, one man actually, who really directed the sport that was so huge all around the world and in Europe and all that. But it kept not really taking root in America because people love their NASCAR.
Back in the 1770s, Sullivan County was considered part of North Carolina, interestingly enough. The birthplace of Country Music Museum is also in the area because of the historic 1927 Bristol session recordings. The sessions completely changed American music and are sometimes called the Big Bang of country music.
Oh, wow.
I'm about to school you, Dylan. You know I know a lot about music history, so I'm going to tell you about it. So the recordings helped turn rural Appalachian folk music into the commercial genre we know today as country music. Well, maybe not today, but what we know as country music.
What we knew as country music.
Not Luke Bryan's like coffee, take a shit, put on some pants, go fish, whatever.
Well, look, I think any true country fan noted the moment that pop country became a thing and kind of took over the genre.
Hold on, I'm about to throw up in my mouth a little bit.
Yeah, I know, and this happened not just to country. It happened in rock. It happened in it happened in rap, dude. I mean, it's
very homogenized, very poppy, and not good.
Yeah, and it has all this crossover effects of different genres, and I'm sorry, I know there's tons of people that like it, and that's fine, but it's not, in my book, it's not country. So
I'm a traditionalist. I don't really listen to a whole lot past like 2000, So the sessions are also historic for the discovery and first major recordings of two acts that became legends. the Carter family, known as the first family of country music, and Jimmie Rodgers. On April 18th of 1927, the singing brakeman Jimmie Rodgers got his first big break on Asheville's radio station, WWNC.
Really?
He earned the nickname after working on the railroad. Johnny Cash would later call the Bristol sessions, quote, the most important event in the history of country music.
Wow, that's saying a lot by a legend. A legend is signing off on it, right?
Absolutely, Dylan. Now, Angel was just 16 when she gave birth to the couple's first son, Tommy Jr., in 1993. Tommy Sr. was 8 years older than his wife. So when they started dating, he was 23 and she was 15. Again, not acceptable.
No.
Unacceptable.
That's even worse than 20.
Right. So at this point, he's 24, she's 16. Yeah. We can safely say there was dysfunction in the family. Although details are scant, Angel described a marriage filled with fighting. They married and later divorced. They will remarry again, and we'll get into that later. I always find that interesting when couples divorce and then get back together and remarry.
You know,
especially if they divorce a second time.
Well, I've really thought about that, and I could swear that I would never do something like that. But, I mean, I guess, you know, you're with someone, you're married, you're living that life, and then you have issues and problems, you know, whatever, life happens, and you kind of drift apart, and you think you don't want to be together. Then what if you, like, get away from that person and you realize, hey, that really was my person, that was my one, if you will. I need to get back with them.
Right. I mean, it sounds strange, but when you really think about it, I'm kind of like, well, you know, things happen, people change, you have children together, you've built a life together. I can understand maybe, okay, I made a mistake. The grass is not always greener or whatever, and, you know, maybe you come back together. I'm trying to be more open about things, Dylan. You know, I'm just trying to, I've always been like a live and let live kind of person, and I'm really trying to get back to that. Just like, hey, I guess whatever floats your boat and works for you, right?
I would just shack up on a second go around.
So if you want to get married 7 times to the same person, good for you.
I would just be boyfriend and girlfriend on the second go.
But I will let you know, first off, if you are going to marry and divorce your same partner multiple times, eventually I'm going to stop attending your bridal shower, and I'm probably not going to give you a wedding gift.
Yeah, we're not going to visit the registry.
No. You already got your, like, cake carrier. You're not getting anything else out of me. Now, a few months after their son's birth, Tommy Sr. was arrested on assault charges. Specific details are no longer available in the case, but he was convicted of misdemeanor assault a year later. Not only do Angel and Tommy have this toxic marriage, but both have dealings with law enforcement and criminal histories.
Oh.
Right?
Well, that always improves a relationship.
Well, at some point, okay, so Megan's born, and at some point they divorce and then they remarry again. By 2009, the couple had moved their family to Bulls Gap, Tennessee, into a manufactured home on a family-owned plot of land in Sullivan County. And I've heard it described as like being a compound, like a family compound.
Okay, so you got multiple households, multiple family members living in close proximity.
Yes.
On the same piece of land.
That's what it sounds like. There are various trailers. Tommy owned a paving business. They have dump trucks, you know, a lot of heavy equipment kind of scattered around the property. But yeah, it's like a big, they call it a family compound.
I got a lot of heavy equipment too.
You wish you had some heavy equipment, Dylan. I wish I had a family compound.
I wish I had a family compound. I really think, on a serious note, that in these trying times, with everything being so expensive, I think we need to get back to that family unit.
Multi-generational households.
Yeah, just think about it. Like if you and a brother and a sister or whatever, uncles, cousins, 2 or 3, 4 adults, working adults, bought a great big house together and split all the bills, it'd be so much cheaper, you know? And of course that means you have to be able to stand your family and be around them. But I think there's some people out there that are normal and non-dysfunctional.
I would rather live in a septic tank at a Taco Bell than ever share a home with my parents or my family.
Well, I don't want to live with your family either, but I'm just saying, if it really, it really kind of makes sense. But I do see these chunks of land.
Well, I see benefits to the multi-generational household, and as Americans, that's not part of our culture. But if you look at other cultures around the world, that's just kind of the known, or what's expected of you is that when you're an adult, like, you're going to work, take care of your parents.
Right.
Your parents would be in your home with you, so then you have help with your children.
Yeah, help with childcare, help with cleaning, help, everybody splitting bills. But now at the same time, I do like my own space, but you see these people that live on family land or whatever, and they have multiple households that everybody's near each other. They get together often and all that, and that seems really cool too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially, like you said, if you have a tolerable family. Now, the marriage was troubled, as I mentioned. In 2009, Tommy Sr. reported to law enforcement that his wife attacked him, stabbing him with an ink pen.
Damn.
14-year-old Tommy Jr. intervened to help his father and ended up in a physical struggle with his mother.
And that's very unfortunate when children get drug into your bullshit and end up they're put in a circumstance like that, in a position, where they're fighting one or the other parent.
Oh, I know firsthand that experience.
It's really a bad thing. And,
yeah, it is. It's not normal, and children shouldn't be exposed. Children should not be exposed to that kind of violence. Children should not feel like they, as a small child or whatever, are the protector of one of the parents.
Right. They shouldn't be forced to act in a situation like that.
No, not at all. Some months later, another incident was reported to law enforcement. Tommy Sr. showed up at his father-in-law's house. The father-in-law's name is David Jones, accusing his son of theft. So that would be like Tommy accusing his brother-in-law.
Okay.
Tommy Sr. was intoxicated at the time. Now, eventually, he sped away in his Chevy Camaro. After Tommy Sr. left, the electricity suddenly went out in the Joneses' home, as if, he'd done something to interfere. Angel was with her father at the time and claimed to get a phone call from Tommy a few minutes after all of this. He said he had crashed the Camaro and ran away. When authorities show up, Angel lies and said she'd been driving the car. At her father's urging, she told the truth finally, but said she had lied to protect her husband. Tommy Sr. did not return to the crash site to reclaim his Camaro.
So he hit like a light pole or something?
I don't know.
Damn.
I don't know the details. I don't know if it was a light pole. I don't know if he fucked with their electricity and then drove off mad and crashed into a fence. I don't know.
I'm going to start.
Ditch, whatever.
I'm going to start doing that every time I get mad, like turn people's electricity off. They'll be like, damn, don't make them mad, bro. Not if you want to stream later.
He paid a fine for leaving the scene of an accident. Seems like that was the only punishment, because they couldn't get him on a DUI charge. He was not there.
Well, it's hard to get them on a DUI charge when they're not there.
Not the Camaro, Tommy. 2 years later, on a cold February morning in 2012, Tommy Sr. showed up at the family home, and at this point, he and Angela were separated, maybe headed toward another divorce.
But still in love.
Angel Boswell was in bed with a fella named Brandon Yates. They were awakened by shouting from outside the home. Angel was naked in the bed, by the way. So she's naked. She doesn't want to go outside, but she can hear Tommy's voice, so she knows that's my husband and that's his truck in my driveway. It's like a country song.
You gonna make me crash into a light pole again, you old bitch? Ain't nobody gonna be able to see tonight. Not when I get done.
Tommy, I love you, you fucking asshole.
I hope you got a generator.
Now, when Yates went to the door, Tommy Jr. is standing there holding a wooden club of sorts.
Damn.
He tells Yates to step out of the trailer. That's when Yates is like, okay, I'm peacing out. So he tries to leave, and as he's halfway down the driveway to Muddy Creek Road, which is described as being like the Boswell family compound, he saw a gray Chevy pickup truck with Tommy's paving on the side, and the truck was headed straight for Brandon Yates, who's on foot.
Of course it's on Muddy Creek Road.
Scared for his life, Brandon ran toward a fence in the yard, but he could not outrun the truck. And the truck hits Brandon, throwing him over the hood and onto the driveway.
You're about to get asphalted, you son of a bitch.
You're about to be an asphalt angel. Afterwards, Brandon claimed that Tommy Sr., his son Tommy Jr., and a third man started beating him. So after they've hit him with the truck, now they're kicking his ass.
Okay, so I'm carrying on being goofy, but this is a crazy situation, right?
Yeah, it almost sounds like something your ex would do.
So
hit somebody with a car. Oh wait, she did do that.
So you're
not you though.
You're laid up with old gal, right? Just having a good time. Y'all are just talking naked in the bed, and then all this mess starts happening. So you're like, "This is too much for me. I'm taking off." And the next thing you know, you've been ran down by an asphalt truck.
You done been runned over.
And now you got multiple people kicking your ass. And I got to tell you, you don't want to mess with guys who shovel asphalt all day, every day. I'm going to tell you, they're strong as a bull.
That is true, Dylan.
It is true.
You are so correct. They're beating his ass, right? So he starts trying to run again and makes his way to a nearby neighbor's home for help. Detectives called Tommy Sr., and we're like, hey, we need to come talk to you, buddy. This guy's filed charges. And Tommy Sr. said, quote, the three of us did work him over, but then hung up.
Okay. I appreciate his honesty.
Tommy Jr., who was 19 at the time, was arrested alongside his father. A year and a half later, Angel and Tommy have reunited and bring forth a third child together. They have a son named Elijah.
So this is your, third go at this very stable relationship? I don't know if having more kids is the right answer.
Just blame it on your lying, cheating, cold, dead, beating, two-time and double dealing, running over my lover's heart.
You know, sometimes people, it seems like they believe another baby is going to make things okay. Right?
The fix-it baby?
Yeah,
the magic baby, the
baby.
Band-Aid baby?
Or the we're together now baby. And I got to say, maybe sometimes that works, but...
I'm glad we decided that we would just get Rufus.
Yeah.
That's our we're together baby instead of actually having a baby. Because can you imagine right now if we had like a 7-year-old running around?
No, I cannot.
The thought of it exhausts me.
Because I'm tired all the time.
I know. I'm too old for a small child in my life. It's hard enough keeping up with all these animals. Now, the Boswell men were able to make plea deals in the assault case and received probation. I guess, they have this torrid romance, Dylan, and, Angel may be cheating, but Tommy, he ain't going to allow it.
Hey, I might have cheated on you with many men, but I still love you.
He's going to find your man. He's going to beat his ass.
I bet when they go to karaoke, I know what song they do.
What?
I put your picture away.
You think so?
Sat down and cried today.
I thought it would be your favorite song that I sing to you and text you the lyrics constantly. Hinder.
Don't do it.
Honey, why you calling me so late? I imagine that's what they listen to.
It's kind of hard to talk right now. Because my girl's in the next room. Sometimes.
I'm going to run over you with a paint truck. Yeah.
I wish she was you.
Whatever. Okay, so it has been reported that Angel and Tommy Sr. were involved with drugs, mostly opioids, though they also used meth. The marriage is rife with drug abuse, infidelity, and domestic violence. Megan, often called Maggie, but I will be calling her Megan throughout the story.
So, opioids, people are usually pretty chill when they're on opioids, right? They're just kind of knocked out, just, nodding and shit. But then
When they don't have the opioids, that's when shit hits the fan, Dylan.
they get irritable then because the withdrawals start almost, very quickly. But the meth, now the whole chasing people around, running people over vehicles and all that, that sounds like methtivities to me. Something you do while you're on meth.
You mean like your ex who ran over her boyfriend?
Yes.
They were both meth users.
Yeah, I was paying for that car at the time.
Yes.
And the insurance.
But somehow she was really angry because you had taken me out to dinner.
But I'm just really glad that nobody really wanted to deal with police or like make a claim on the insurance. So that I lucked out there. And fortunately for him, it was just a Ford Fusion. It wasn't a truck. It wasn't an asphalt truck.
Well, his face is already broken,
Right.
right? Did it break any other bones?
I don't know.
Did it break, like, it would have been kind of nice if it had broken the other side of his face and then it would no longer be asymmetrical.
So you're seeking symmetry.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that happened. But no, I don't think you feel injuries when you're like high on meth.
Well, that's probably true. I don't know. I've never tried meth. Don't plan on it. Now, Megan, like I said, she's often called Maggie, but for the purposes of our story, I will refer to her as Megan, grew up in a hellscape filled with nonstop arguing, shouting, and physical violence. And she's also witnessed her parents' drug use. All of those things can be very detrimental to a child.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's almost like if you want to create the opposite of a good environment or situation for a child, this is what you would do.
When Megan was 7 or 8 years old, Angel began attending AA and NA meetings. Often Megan was brought along to these meetings.
Okay, I don't know. That seems just a little kid, right?
Yes.
Well, I mean, gosh, people talk about stuff at those meetings. I don't think kids should be exposed to that kind of stuff. And I think adults should, this is a place adults should be able to go and like share these, harrowing experiences and bad things and all this stuff.
Unfortunately, children who have been in the type of situations that Megan has been in, they are not shielded. They are not shielded from adult topics, and often are like adult. They have to become little adults themselves.
Yeah,
I know. I mean, that was my life, and I think that was your life too.
yeah, and that's
You
one
really
of the
have a childhood.
that's one of the things that really steals your childhood away from you.
Fortunately, Megan was able to spend a lot of time with her paternal grandparents. They pretty much raised her. I mean, she would stay over there, and it sounds like she got what she needed when she was there. Like, she was taken care of and fed and loved, and it wasn't chaos.
Right.
Now, because her grandparents, they were again described as like godly people. They attended church. They were very devout. So it does sound like she at least had a bit of an escape from her parents. Now, a year after the birth of their third child, the Boswells called it quits again. Angel filed for divorce. Megan was 13 at the time. Angel was awarded custody of Megan and Elijah. I read somewhere that Tommy Sr. didn't show up to this custody hearing. At some point, the Boswells decide to do it all over again, Dylan. I'm not even joking. Third time's a charm.
Come on. It's too much, right? I mean, you've tried and it's not worked. And it's just, I don't even know why you want to be in a relationship where you argue and carry on, cheat on each other.
Well, here's the thing, Dylan. Most of us are probably asking why they kept returning to this toxic relationship. It usually isn't as simple as, like, they like drama.
But they have to a degree.
Human attachment is complicated. One of the biggest reasons couples make up, break up, and then make up again is trauma bonding. Affection and mistreatment happen in these cycles, and the brain can become addicted to the emotional highs and lows. The relief after conflict can feel intensely powerful.
Yeah, this is called I Can't Quit You.
Given the couple's struggle with addiction, I mean, this makes sense to me. Some of us have stayed in these kinds of relationships because we hope for the good version. You know, when the relationship is brand new, you fall in love with that person. And then when the behavior becomes toxic, many of us believe the original version is right and that toxic version is only temporary. And eventually you'll be able to like fix them back. But a lot of times, intensity is confused for love. Anxiety, obsession, jealousy, all these volatile emotions can create a pull that is often mistaken for passion. And in my opinion, these are probably some of the reasons the Boswells can't quit each other, like Jake and Enos. So see, you stole my line, Dylan. Because that's exactly what I thought, is they can't quit each other.
So basically, you deal with the bad times for when it's good,
Yes.
for the good times. Or in your mind, you think somehow you can eventually have good times all the time?
Yes.
All right. Or I would say, I think in situations like this, that other people, if you go date or live with other people, you realize they're not going to put up with the way your personality is. They're not going to put up with the things that you do. So you go back to the person that you know will kind of put up with your shit, if that makes sense.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the people almost get addicted to the back and forth.
Well, they do. I think, again, it's the highs and lows
Right.
that people seek. Because, and let's just say, I mean, for example, you're in an abusive relationship. You get in these big knockdown, drag-out fights. There's physical violence. You're screaming, you're hollering. You know, it's bad. It's really bad. Then the next day, you're both apologetic. He shows up with flowers, or, you know, she's super sorry for what's happened because, you know, men are not the only participants in these situations, right? I mean, women often contribute to domestic violence, are the perpetrators of domestic violence, and I think we forget that sometimes. So you have these two people that have, you know, had this bad fight, and they're both super sorry and apologetic, and then they make up and have this, like, you know, passionate makeup sex that we hear about, and for the next 2 or 3 days, it's like the honeymoon phase.
Right.
Of everything's good, we really love each other, we're never going to do that again, and then it slides right back into chaos.
No, I honestly think that's a great point you made. I think that often gets lost in the domestic violence conversation, which it's really a bad situation. And I think obviously us and our listeners know the stats and the violence and what happens typically to women in these situations. They certainly are on the short end of the stick, but I think it must be said they are willing participants in this toxic relationship. They come back time and again, and we could talk for an hour as to why. And I think all that has merit. It really does, how you end up in this situation. But then when their friends and families are all begging them, please don't get out. You know, you got to stop this. You deserve better. They go back time and again. And I think what you're describing is why. And it really is almost like this, it's almost like a spell. You know, it's like something you can't reason with someone. You can't talk them out of
Right.
it.
And I grew up in domestic violence, and I don't make excuses for anyone's participation or whatever, but it was not one-sided, if that makes sense.
Right. I know exactly what you mean.
You know, it was mutual and very explosive. And a lot of this, I mean, and I know people who have straight up been in a domestic violence relationship where it was the one person who has this violent, angry temper and is abusing their partner. And it's, you know, it's fucking terrible. But I will say this. The people I know who have these toxic makeup, breakup relationships, it's 50-50 because they break up. You know, he's pissed off, whatever. She sees his truck out at a bar. He's on a date with another woman, or he's talking to her. She's going to go, you know, break out his truck windows,
They're
bust them
chasing
out.
each other around.
He's going to show up at her house at 2 a.m. acting crazy when she's got some dude over. You know, it's just, this back and forth, and they're both usually guilty. I mean, I've just seen it more than once.
Well, no, again, another great point, and I think this is the type of things people don't typically talk about when you talk. There are different types of these relationships, and you're exactly right. There are the sweet, caring person who thinks they can help the other one and make them better, and they don't really poke the bear. They don't carry on. They don't chase around. They don't do the violent stuff. But they catch all the ire, all the anger of the one person. But there is this different type of relationship that you're describing, where they're both kind of doing a back and forth. That neither of them will leave it alone, even though
they're both doing fucked up shit to each other,
and they both know that it's just going to be,
instead of just like I'm done and walk away. It's like they just keep on keeping on. Like even if they are broken up for a period of time, they're going to keep on keeping on at each other, and then eventually they're going to get back together, and it's just like the cycle. And I've seen it more times than I would care to ever see again. Now, after they reconciled, the Boswells welcomed a fourth child, a daughter.
Okay. I mean, I don't even know what else to say.
Megan adored her younger siblings and assumed a mother role. With her parents' marriage always on the rocks, parenting duties often fell on 14-year-old Megan. And I don't know the timeline on this, so stick with me. Now, at some point, Tommy Sr. will gain full custody of Megan and the younger children, while Angel is out running around doing crimes, like she's out in the streets, in and out of jail.
She's outside.
She outside. Ooh, she outside doing.
She hates it at home.
Oh, yeah. It sounds like she does. Now, they're like, I guess at this point, separated or whatever. So he's got custody of the kids. I don't know if they're divorced again at this point. I'm not really sure, but Tommy has custody. And even though she lived with her dad, Megan wanted to spend time with her mother. That's only natural. Tommy would relent and allow Megan to spend time with her mom, but the problem was that Megan wouldn't go to school. She'd come back home, and Tommy would press Megan on the importance of school. You've got responsibilities, like you can't just go to your mom's and lay around. It's not a vacation. You got to get up and go to school, and if your mom's not going to get up and take you to school, then like we can't keep doing this.
Well, yeah, I mean that's a valid point.
But Megan just flat out refused to go to school and just stopped going to school. And no matter what her dad did, it's like she just didn't go.
And that's a hard position to be in as a parent or anyone who cares for a child when what do you do? You can't beat them. I mean, I've known you can't make them. I mean,
both kids, when I was a kid, a teenager, as well as parents, who've had problems with their child, that you take them to school, you drop them off, and you're like, I'm physically like walking you into the building. I am watching you go into that damn building. And then parents drive off thinking, okay, my kid's at school. And the kid somehow manages to sneak out and skip school for the day.
Yeah, they leave after first period or something.
Yeah, they leave campus.
Or we used to have homeroom.
Right.
Remember homeroom?
Or they just go in, but then they turn around and leave. And as a parent, I mean, aside from just handcuffing yourself to your kid and sitting with them all day in class, I mean, there's not a lot you can do to ensure that they're in school and they're doing what they're supposed to do, right? I mean, we've seen it.
Well, no, and that's assuming that the parent is, insisting that you go, and all you can do is from a very early age teach them that, hey, this is just the right thing to do. You can't let them. I mean, even start small. Hey, I want to take a sick day, even though I'm not sick, and hey, everybody needs a hooky day here.
Well,
and there.
Even though their marriage is completely fucked, it does seem in some ways that Tommy maybe is a bit more of like the responsible parent. Like he wants his kids to go to school. He makes them go to school. He's up on their attendance. And Angel seems more like she just maybe doesn't care. She doesn't want to have to get up and take you to school. She doesn't want to have to get you up and get you ready. So we'll just all sleep in and miss school for the day.
Yeah, and that's not okay. I mean, it really teaches your children bad habits.
Right. So the state of Tennessee takes custody of Megan and places her in foster care. And this is all based on truancy. And I think when I hear truancy, it automatically makes me think of like the 1950s and some like juvenile delinquent with his like switchblade comb, hanging out in the street or whatever.
Smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
Right.
But truancy, I mean, that goes on today and it's a problem. And many states will take you to court, parents. They will take your children from you. I mean, it's serious, a very serious issue.
No, it is. And it could certainly land the parents and the child in court, at the very least, to present some explanation for what's going on.
I had the number, but I've totally blanked, and apparently I did not write it down. But the number of days Megan had missed was like outrageous.
Like way more than 10.
Like 80 days.
Oh my gosh.
4-month period. I mean, just ridiculous amount, Anyway, I mean, it's like she had basically missed the whole school year type of thing. Well, now, according to Megan's foster mother, Megan was very pregnant when she arrived into foster care. Tommy knew his daughter was pregnant at the time. Megan is 17 years old, pregnant, and very malnourished.
Well, that's not a good combination.
Megan's foster mother had concerns because Megan was dangerously thin, had matted hair, and a lice infestation.
My gosh.
Megan's history was passed on to the foster mother, and it mentioned trauma, sexual assault, and a dysfunctional home life. But other than that, the foster mother didn't know much about Megan or what was going on with her. And I don't have details on the sexual assault. I don't know anything about that. But, I mean, you can see clearly Megan's been through a lot, and she's a troubled young lady. Now, growing up in a household where addiction is prevalent, it affects children in different ways. Often these children have low self-esteem. They don't form healthy bonds with their parents, which can lead them to form, bonds with others that are not always loving bonds. They try to seek out relationships where they feel like they can get love, even if it's in the wrong places.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the literal saying, is looking for love in all the wrong places. And this really leads a young person especially into a lot of relationships and situations that they shouldn't be in. It exposes them. It opens them up to be manipulated and abused by other people.
There are trust issues. These kids may act out in school or get into trouble. Children of addicts may act impulsively and then spend energy trying to cover it up or fix the issue. A lot of times children of addicts can become liars. They develop these lying habits, which can almost turn into like pathological lying.
Okay.
Right? Most addicts are liars, so children learn firsthand how to lie from their parents. Growing up in a household with domestic violence can really wreck a child's psyche. Daughters especially may normalize unhealthy relationships, struggle with boundaries, and become people pleasers. They fear abandonment, and they can be at a higher risk of entering into abusive relationships. There are also issues like self-harm, substance abuse, aggression, and parentification, which is like taking on adult responsibilities way too young. Been there, done that. And
Yeah.
I know you have too.
Well, yeah, and it sucks because, you really only get one shot at childhood,
Yeah.
And once the time goes by and that's all behind you and you realize, you're here you are, 20 or whatever, going into your 20s, and you don't get that time back. And there's no redo. And I know everything, I don't expect everything to be perfect all the time. That's unreasonable. I think that's something that you can't really think's going to happen, or it's not an expectation you could have. But I mean, damn, just let a kid be a kid. And that's why when I see kids nowadays just being a kid, I saw a little girl the other day. She went to, or it was on TikTok, and she was going to like the store with her parents. She was making them wait while she got her stroller out and her baby doll, and she's asking her dad to get her purse on the other side of the car, and her dad's just like, like, come on, what are we doing? And people in the comments like, just let her be a little girl. You know what I mean? Because this is refreshing. This is good to see because everything's so fast. Everything moves so fast nowadays. And everyone's always, it seems like, trying to, be something else or move on to the next level.
Grow up too fast.
And it's like when I see kids just riding bikes in the neighborhood or playing in the yard and stuff. It's good. Just let them be kids. I think I'm jealous of those kids when I see them getting to do that.
Well, you make fun of me all the time because I'm goofy, and you'll be like, "What the hell's wrong with you?" And I'm always like, "I don't know," but I'm goofy and just always doing something stupid because it's like I am a big kid,
right?
Like deep inside, like I just want to go spin around in the yard until I get dizzy and fall down.
Well, yeah, I think that's from the Gen X generation. I think a lot of us feel like that. Here we are heading towards 50, mid-50s or whatever, and we still kind of feel like kids.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we're not the only generation to do that, but I feel like more Gen Xers seem that way than in other generations.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you don't really have a childhood, it kind of makes you, I'm not going to say completely immature adult because I don't think we're immature adults, but we still like want to be playful and like kind of latch on to youth and maybe what we were wearing at 14 maybe we still wear today, like
right.
Vans or Converse or whatever. But it's hard when you're a kid and you're in these fucked up situations. I mean, I know that you could probably speak more to having grown up with addiction in the home, but I did grow up with like extreme domestic violence in my home. And, it's just like I learned at a very young age, like what we don't talk about, how to keep secrets, what was appropriate conversation, what wasn't. I knew I wasn't going to go to school and tell my teacher I was tired because my parents fought till 3 a.m. and kept me up all night. And that my daddy, threw a TV on my mom or whatever, right? I knew I wasn't going to go to school and tell that. I didn't tell my friends that. I was always on edge, like, when's it going to happen? Is it going to happen again? If I invited a friend over to my house, I was always worried that some shit would go down in front of my friend and I would be embarrassed.
Right.
I mean, it's like there's all these things that you're always thinking of and you're 5, 6, 7 years old. Like, you shouldn't be worrying about those things.
Well, no, it's where you develop. I've had similar feelings growing up. And that's when you walk on eggshells.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you turn into you're a fixer. I'm a very big fixer. Even the people I don't know, I want to, even if I get mad and like really pissed off, I instantly want to smooth that over. We were out at the bar, at the karaoke bar, and I interrupted the guy. I didn't realize I'd had a bit of a buzz, and I didn't realize he was actually singing a song. And I went over and sign up for a song and was going to ask him a question. This guy's singing beautifully, I might add. And I didn't realize it, and I kind of interrupted him. And like I've thought about that all week, about when I see him again, I'm going to make sure and apologize. Hey, I was a little bit buzzed the other night, and I'm sorry. I really felt bad, and I'm sure he probably hasn't thought twice about some drunk guy at a bar. He does karaoke. He probably sees all the time. But like I literally am worried about some guy I don't even know, and it really goes that far with me. Yeah, it's just, or you're always the feeling of waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah, you live in a hyper vigilant mode.
Right.
Always ready, which is not okay. And that's not okay for kids to live like that. I mean, I'm an anxious adult, but I was an anxious kid. I mean, I had super anxiety as a child, like crippling anxiety, had tummy ache all the time, just worried constantly, always worrying, just never an opportunity to just be a kid and have fun. If I went to my grandparents' house or I went to a friend's house to spend the night, I was always worried about what was going on at home.
Where are you going to come home to?
Exactly. What's happening while I'm not there, or what's going to happen when I get back. I mean, it was just something all the damn time, and it's so hard for kids to grow up like that. So in some ways, with this case, I have some strong feelings about Megan, but when I really stop and think about her, she's a young woman and this is the life she's known. And, you know, I guess not everybody is as resilient as, you know, some of us can be, I suppose, or we all deal with our emotions or our trauma in different ways. But, you know, I kind of understand, like, this poor girl, you know, she really did live in hell.
Well, yeah, and we all have, none of us can't come through things like that unscathed. It gives us personality defects. It affects us, you know, our emotions. Maybe one issue I have is relating, letting other people know my feelings for them or any, you know, stuff like that. Like, I can care very deeply for someone, and they may think I'm cold or like robotic, and like, I don't know.
You're emotionally unavailable.
I didn't have a lot of
physical affection. Just affection in general growing up.
No big family, just me, my mom, and sister, or whatever, floating around. And yeah, and that's affected my relationship with my kids. I don't think I, you know, let them know when they were growing up how much, you know, I love them and care for them. And it affects my, you know, at times it's affected me and you. And that's one of my dings from growing up like that.
Are we having a therapy session with our listeners?
Well, no, but I'm sure. And
you know what? I was thinking about this the other day, and it's so true. Our listeners know way too much about us. So many other podcasters just kind of keep it like superficial or whatever, but we'll just fucking tell anything. We divulge all kinds of shit on here.
Well, honestly, for me, it's a bit cathartic to talk to our listeners, to talk to some people, because I know
somebody out there relates.
They relate, or it helps them understand maybe someone else in their life who's been through stuff.
Or when you pause and think about, like, for example, someone like Megan and what she's been through, you know, it can kind of give her a bit of humanity that you don't always see when you find out this person's committed a horrible crime.
Right.
And it's funny because you said you were a fixer of things. And I think growing up in my situation made me either a ghost, where I learned real quick to vanish and disappear and be off the radar.
You're out of the line of fire.
Like, to go hide, which I literally would go hide when I was a kid. Like, my dad would come home from work and I'd be like, oh shit, and I would go hide somewhere, like, so I didn't have to be around him.
You could feel vibes, right?
Yeah,
you could feel people's
I
vibes.
was like, oh shit, and I would go hide. So I learned real quick to, like, be a ghost and make myself disappear, float around, tiptoe around the edges, do not disturb kind of thing. But also it made me like this protector, that almost to the point that I'm like confrontational, like this fierce protector, because even in my adult life, there have been times when, like, I've been at a party and somebody starts mouthing off to my friend and, like, won't let it go. And then I'm the one that's like, you want to go, motherfucker? Let's go. You know, like, I always feel if people, I deem someone as maybe weaker or whatever, I've always been the person to stand up for them and, like, stand up to bullies, and, like, probably to my detriment at times, because when I get in that, like, space, I have no fear, and it's scary because I'm 5'3", like a tiny thing, and I don't care to get up in the face of like a 6'4" man that weighs 250 pounds. You know what I'm saying? And, like, that's not good. But I'm also like, I'm not going to let you be a bully. I'm not going to let you talk to people like this. I'm not going to let you victimize this person. Like, you want to pick on somebody? Like, come on then.
We're right, because you're not afraid.
And that's, you know, not good, because that dude could clean my clock.
Right.
Surprisingly, they never have. But
I get where you're coming from, because it's not your first rodeo. And when you see someone who is kind of shocked by a situation like that, or, you know, really being piled on, I'm kind of like that too. I don't even like when someone, like, I've been in many work situations where they're, you know, hey, you kid, and you give each other hell. But when someone really starts hurting their feelings, or people keep on and on to the point where you start seeing that person be kind of ostracized from the crew or from everyone else they work with, that's not okay with me, right? And I go out of my way to, you know, be on their side, or I've always used my wit to cut the people that are giving them hell, to embarrass them in front of everybody, or give them shit way worse than they ever, to make them kind of feel, hey, you know, maybe make them feel what they're doing to someone else. And you know, and I've always been like that.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of becomes this thing, just in the moment. that I have like no fear. Like I'm not afraid of anything. You know what I mean? And it's scary. Like I probably should calm that down. That's why I really try not to get into that mode for my own well-being, because, you know, somebody could like stab me or something.
Okay, so just long time listeners know me and you and what some of the stuff is leaked out, how we grew up. And I think this is why now we just really pursue a quiet, boring life.
Boring, yeah.
A very quiet house.
No drama.
No drama.
Home is a sanctuary.
We'll leave any spot that is popping off in the least bit. And yeah. And
we don't want to hang out with dramatic people. We don't want to be in other people's business. We don't want friends that try to drag us in the middle of shit. Like, we just don't. And to bring this full circle, since we are a true crime podcast and this is not a therapy session for you and I, Dylan, I think Megan exhibits many of those behaviors, like, as our story progresses. So I want folks to kind of keep these points in mind, and then we can circle back, you know, like the low self-esteem, the need to find or seek love from somebody somewhere. It doesn't matter who, you know, just like desperately needing that attention or to feel validated.
Right.
You know, a lot of these things. So Megan had a relationship with a boy named Ethan while she was in high school. He was older than Megan, I think like a year older. When he graduated, Ethan enlisted in the U.S. Army. He was under the impression that Megan was his girlfriend and that they were going to do like the long distance thing. Because, you know, he's in the Army, he goes to boot camp, then he goes to, you know, what they would call AI school, I think, or AIT, I think that's what they call it, AIT. The Navy, we just called it A school or C school, you know, A school. Where you go get your training for like whatever job you're going to do.
Right.
So like, for example, I went to boot camp I went to boot camp in Chicago at Great Lakes Naval Station. But then I did my A school at Fort Meade, Maryland at an Army post, right? So, you know, you're going to be away for some months while you're doing these different things. And so Ethan's thinking this whole time, you know, I got this girl, and when I come back home or when I get stationed, like, we're still a couple. We're going to do the long distance thing.
Jody's got your girl.
Well, in early 2018, Megan is placed in foster care and is very pregnant. She's 17, by the way. Megan is cleaned up. She settles into a routine and registers for an online program to finish her high school diploma. Megan began thriving in the structured environment provided by her foster mother. She no longer needed reminders about schoolwork. Megan became calmer and more relaxed. She enjoyed playing card games with her foster mother, you know, just spending time with her. For the first time, Megan is receiving like the nurturing that she so desperately needs. For a while, she doesn't need to be in constant survival mode. Like, she can just be a teenager.
Well, yeah, and that's really good for her. And, you know, you always hear young people, kids want structure, even if they don't think they do. They might argue they don't. But, you know, it really is kind of hard to care about school or hobbies or any of that stuff when you're in an atmosphere or an environment like that.
Yeah.
Because you
totally
really
right.
are just trying to make it through the day.
Yeah, like, how am I supposed to concentrate on algebra homework when my world is falling down, right? Now, by all accounts, Megan's grandparents were good people, like, as I've mentioned, and I'm sure she felt loved and cared for there. But this is the first time that she has, like, a mother figure who puts her first.
Well, and I think it's the constant is really important here. It's not I'm only here for a day or a few days with my grandparents, then I have to go back into that mess. Here she doesn't have to worry about being reintroduced into the craziness.
Megan was taken to her prenatal appointments, offered, you know, healthy food options, and was given proper information on pregnancy and childbirth. On November 21st of 2018, Megan gave birth to a baby girl, Evelyn Mae Boswell. Evelyn was a perfect, healthy newborn. Megan jumped right into mom mode. She was patient. Megan never seemed too tired or frustrated with the baby. And at this time, Tommy Sr. wants to regain custody of Megan. During her time in foster care, Tommy made an effort to spend time with Megan. Some say he made these positive changes, like he would take, Megan out places, spend time with her, like had a genuine interest in Megan and what was going on in her life. And he would tag along, like with Megan and her foster family, to church, gatherings, festivals, events. Like he would kind of go along and was really trying to like ingratiate, I guess, himself into this foster family, but also like into his daughter's life.
Okay.
Where he had been lacking for so many years. Now, when Megan turns 18, her foster mother asks if she wants to return home with Tommy Sr. It almost seems like her foster mother was willing to let Megan maybe stay there longer, even though she had aged out. But Megan does want to leave. She takes Evelyn and they move into her dad's house at the family compound. Megan maintained a good relationship with her foster mother. They still are in communication and see each other. Tommy has remarried a woman named Ashley who has children from a previous relationship. There are 2 younger Boswell children as well. So, you've got a few younger kids in the house. Now, at first, things are okay. Everyone's adjusting. But then Ashley becomes frustrated with Megan's untidiness. Megan and Evelyn's room was filthy. There was trash everywhere. Megan would leave old food in the room, dirty dishes.
Oh, no.
That's
the worst, bro.
Just trash everywhere. Like, wouldn't even take her trash and put it in a can.
That invites bugs.
Right. Well, Ashley would ask Megan to clean up after herself, and Megan wouldn't do it. Megan didn't pitch in at all around the house. And finally, Tommy Sr. confronts Megan about cleaning her room. He's like, girl, you live here and that's fine and we love to have you, but like you've got to at least at minimum clean up your bedroom. And honestly, it'd be nice if you jumped in and helped with a chore around the house here and there, right?
Well,
Which
yeah.
is not an unreasonable ask.
It's not.
If you're living in someone's home rent free.
And you got to
with your baby.
The bare minimum, baby or not, especially with a baby, because babies make everything harder. You have to pick up and keep after yourself. You have to clean your mess up at the very least. If you're not going to jump in and do for the household, which I have strong feelings about that. I think everyone can pitch in. Especially if you got a baby.
We've parented some children, right? And we've both experienced, especially with teenagers, some of these exact issues.
Yeah.
You are going to clean up after yourself. Your room is going to be clean. Like, I don't want to come in here and find 7 abandoned Dunkin' Donuts cups with mold growing in them.
No, because that's gross and it's unhealthy for you and it can cause all these other issues. And then it's almost like you keep lowering the bar. Like, well, you need to at least do this. But one of my favorite reactions ever is when they're like, well, I'll just do my own. If you're like, hey, you could, swap the laundry over, or wash your dryer or do the dishes, then they act like they're just going to clean their stuff. And that attitude's always blown me away because the whole time you're doing everything, for everybody.
Cool. So you're going to cook your own meal.
Yeah.
You're going to clean up after that because I don't want you to have to worry about the food I'm preparing for everybody else.
Well,
and
yeah.
then cleaning up that. No, don't worry about that.
Anyone who even thinks like that, they never even do that.
It's a very teenager way of thinking.
It is.
And we battled this with both, with both of our children, this cleaning thing, and that maybe once in a while you could stand to do something around the house, whether that's just take the trash out or maybe vacuum the floor, or if you walk through the house with your muddy, wet shoes that we tell you to take off at the door, maybe you could mop up that track of mud that you've brought into that. Just basic stuff.
Yeah, or just stand for a little while so your bed sores can air out.
Man, exactly. Sometimes these kids is hard-headed, man. Being a parent's hard. Now, Megan had only been there for a few months, but instead of simply cleaning up, Megan moved out with Evelyn. She spent time at her grandmother's house. Then Megan moved into a trailer The Boswells owned a trailer park, and she was given permission to stay in this trailer that was owned by her older brother, Tommy Jr. Megan had never lived on her own before, so now as an adult, she's living alone and caring for an infant. Family and friends say Megan loved being a mother. Those who knew the situation well say Megan adored Evelyn and that she was a real good mom. Megan never showed any indication that she didn't like being a mom or that she wished she'd never had Evelyn. Like, as far as everybody knows, Evelyn's well taken care of. She always, she looks good. She's, she's eaten. She's in a clean diaper. Megan's happy. Megan brings her along. Like, even when she goes to hang out with friends, to go out to eat or something, she brings the baby along with her.
Right.
Right. Now, Megan took Evelyn to Texas at some point so that Ethan could see his child and spend some time with her, because Ethan wasn't around when Evelyn was born. He's in the Army. However, Ethan had doubts about Evelyn's paternity. And I know men get a lot of shit for wanting DNA tests to establish paternity, but it's important not only for the man to know for sure whether it's his child, but also for the child. And this can be really difficult for a child if a child grows up thinking this person is their father, and then years later that child finds out that's not true, that's not my biological dad. It can cause a lot of hurt. And let's be honest, it's also really unfair to men who fill the role and support a child financially only to learn they were lied to the whole time. And viewed through a 2026 lens, it seems women have gotten kind of a free pass on this kind of bad behavior. While men catch a lot of shit for simply asking the question, like, is this my child? There's almost this attitude of like, how dare you ask that question?
Well, see, okay, it's a really tricky situation, or people make it a tricky situation. See, some guys can deal with finding out later that the child's not biologically theirs. It may hurt them or bother them to a degree, but they may view it as, that's okay. I was around from day one. I raised them. I love them. And some guys can deal with that. Some guys can't deal with it, and it really hurts them deep to their core. It's something they can't get over.
Well, it's a betrayal.
It can affect their relationship with said child, and it's a very bad thing. So also, if the guy asks and you're like, and you take the how dare you route, one thing you're doing is you're discounting his feelings. If this is bothering him enough to bring it up, because he knows it's probably not going to be a popular popular thing to talk about or a position to take, he feels probably strongly about it. Now, do some guys do this knowing damn well, do this just to be a dick? Yeah, I mean, there's all these caveats and situations and all that. So I think the best thing to do is, okay, well, maybe I can't believe you're asking or whatever, but let's just go ahead and do it. Boom, boom, boom. Get it out the way.
Some other things would save us trouble, like, I don't know, maybe waiting until you're in a stable relationship where you're monogamous with a long-term partner before you decide to introduce children into the situation, and or maybe be married first, and then that way you're not so concerned about the paternity of the child. I mean, I'm just going out on a limb here.
Well, see, me and you've discussed that there's all these kind of old-timey, traditional ways that nowadays people might view as...
it's like demonized.
Well, it's certainly demonized, but they may view it as, kind of not with the times.
Outdated or antiquated.
Yes, exactly. But there's a lot of good things that come of if you subscribe to that. Like the theory that, hey, you guys were doing the sexes. Now you got a kid on the way. Well, you got to get married. You have to make a home together. You have to, you got to go to work. You have to, take care of the child. Everybody's going to be together. And we're not going to do this, arguing and such. That's just the way it is. And it was, and I don't know, that kind of makes sense. Because you both did this thing. One or the other doesn't get to run away from your responsibilities now. But, whatever. But, yeah, I mean, 'cause a lot of that stuff makes sense, if you will.
There's also a thing called birth control that, for whatever reason, seems to be like an unpopular subject nowadays. Because back in my day, it was like you went on birth control or you used contraception, and it seems nowadays like we're not going to do that. We'll just either A, get pregnant and have, multiple babies with different men, or we will just have an abortion, right? And I'm not going to get into all that, but it's just like there are other options. Like you don't have to have a baby with every guy you date. Men, you don't have to go around impregnating multiple women. You can use a condom. You can use effective birth control and prevent that from happening so that you don't end up questioning whether or not, this child is yours because you've been fooling around with 4 or 5 people and she has been too. So, I mean, it's just, I guess what it boils down to is morality needs to kind of make a comeback, in my opinion, because this shit just gets messy.
Well, what's crazy is people act like having a baby is the only thing that can happen from unprotected sex. I mean, it's like they don't even discuss STDs.
We grew up in the damn 80s and AIDS. We grew up in the AIDS, the epidemic of AIDS, and watched people die, like people we knew die from AIDS, and it was a death sentence back then. And it's just like nobody even talks about it today.
Yeah.
Like HIV, it's like, oh, well, here, you can just take some medicine. Oh, it's not a big deal. And it is a big deal. Herpes is a big deal. These things that are life-changing, it's a big deal, This is something that affects your health long-term. Like, it's a big deal.
Well, yeah, it certainly is.
If you have to get antibiotics to clear up some funk you got going on down in your stinky jungle, like, that's not okay. Like, we should not normalize that that's just part of life. Do people still get crabs? I think we've talked about this, but I feel like crabs has fallen out of fashion. Like, crabs was such a 70s thing, and I don't know if it's because everybody had a bunch of bush back then or what, but I don't feel like people talk about getting crabs anymore.
Now, do you think there is a correlation between the males and females, more likely to be grooming themselves nowadays? The crabs, have we inadvertently destroyed the crab's habitat?
The pubic lice, possibly.
Have we pushed the crabs out of their environment?
We gentrified their neighborhood, and now there's not like a big healthy forest. It's like a tiny, it's a little landing strip, and you can only be a top crab to live there.
You think like the young crabs talk to the old crabs, and they talk about the heyday?
Yeah.
The good old days when everybody was hairy from head to toe?
Look, I just microneedled my face, and I keep finding there's like tons of dead skin coming off my face right now. It's really freaking me out, but I got to continue with this.
Now they're just complaining about having like a Starbucks across the street from each other and like
okay,
dog
we've been
bakeries.
bantering enough. Let's get back to this. So, for example, among men who have reason to doubt paternity and seek testing, labs report that 20 to 40% of those cases exclude the presumed father. And that's just the numbers we know. That's a pretty good bit of men who are finding out this is not my child.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you break that down in simple terms, 20 out of 100 guys, that's a lot.
Or 40 out of 100.
Or 40 out of 100.
And like I said, the exact numbers are unknown, but even 4% of the overall population, that's a large number of families affected. Women, in my opinion, who intentionally misrepresent paternity are not held accountable often. Even courts will side with the woman because they won't sever financial support, even if there's evidence that the child is not biologically his. Well, it's in the best interest of the child that you keep paying child support.
Well,
which, I don't always find that to be fair.
I think it does a disservice to the child in a number of ways. For one, their heritage, where they come from, who they come from, they may want to know that. And there's also a thing about your health history. As you get older and start, you know how it is. The older you get, the more doctoring you do. And you need to know what your history is as far as genetic history and the things you may be susceptible of. And if a child, thinks that some guy in that family is their biological father, they could not have a real clear picture on the things that they may have to face in the future or what they need to be watching out for.
Well, regardless of your family history, I'm just going to let y'all know that everything hurts.
Yeah.
So you may not know who your mom or your daddy is, but I can guarantee you that everything's going to hurt when you get old, because it does. Now, women's harmful behavior is often minimized because she is viewed as the victim, and I'm not trying to pile on women or anything like that, but it does create these double standards. Modern gender politics can lead to women receiving more sympathy or less criticism in these specific situations relating to fraud, child custody, sex abuse, false accusations. Like if a male teacher receives, or he'll receive a much harsher sentence for, sexually assaulting a student, but female teachers are given a slap on the wrist, like you're going to have 6 months of probation, even though you did the same thing. You groomed a child and molested a child. Yeah. So we're fed this narrative that men are more harmful to children, yet when it comes to neglect and physical abuse, women are identified more frequently, and women are sexual offenders too, which is something that, seems to be forgotten. So, Ethan was good to Evelyn, but he did have these doubts that she's his baby. This is my child because I've been gone. I don't know. The timing doesn't seem right, but she's telling me it's my child,
Well, yeah, and if there's no problem and you know for sure it's his, just take the test. It's not that big of a deal. It really isn't.
And at the time, Megan was living in the trailer and paying no bills. Now, all expenses are covered by Tommy, and that includes Evelyn's needs. He, was paying for diapers, formula, buying the baby's clothes, like anything the baby needed, a new car seat, whatever. He's providing that, and he's taking care of the utilities, food, here's a free house to live in, and he'd bought his daughter a $20,000 new to her, like a little used car.
Okay.
For $20,000, sounds like a nice used car, right?
Well, yeah.
So she's set. I mean, she has everything that she needs. And let's be honest, most people, young people who have babies, don't get this kind of setup.
Well, no, you're in a pretty good position considering everything.
Right, exactly. And Tommy did seem to be trying to make some sort of, I guess he's trying to right the wrongs in their relationship. He felt it was his responsibility to take care of Megan and Evelyn, especially since he had failed his daughter while she was growing up. And some folks think maybe that's a little too late, but I think it's never late to change and become the person, that you needed to be, even if it takes time. So, I think Tommy, he's trying, and that's all he can do.
Well, yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that,
Right, and though Tommy was supporting his daughter, she was encouraged to get a job so she could eventually, be self-sufficient. But also just, you need to have some responsibility in your life. You have a baby now. This is what being an adult means, is that you have a child. You have to go to work, right? Now, she applied to a place in Blunttville called Hunter T's Chicken Shack. It was a drive-through, but also like a sit-down place, so I'm not really sure I would describe it as fast food, but it's a chicken shack.
It's fast casual.
Now it makes me want to have chicken. Now, owner Randy Wood hired Megan. She informed him that she was a single mother, and he asked if she required any special scheduling. It did seem like he was willing to work with her, but Megan assured him that there was no interference. Megan said she could work as many hours as needed, and motherhood would not directly affect her ability to work as scheduled. So, I've got childcare. It's not a big deal. You don't have to make special accommodations for me. Randy's son, Hunter, who is a young man at this point, I think he's in his late teens, early 20s. He's been described as a co-owner of the place. It's named after him, Hunter T. Now, at the minimum, I know he worked there too. I don't know if he's really a co-owner. He would talk about it's his restaurant, but whatever. So like I said again, Hunter was a young man. Naturally, he and Megan, who were around the same age, kind of hit it off, start hanging around each other. A lot of times young people that work together socialize, especially in a restaurant setting. I used to hang out with, the kitchen and the wait staff. You go out, party a lot, that kind of thing. But they're all hanging out together, and eventually that leads to dating and a relationship. So Megan and Hunter kind of fall for each other, start seeing each other. And despite Megan being a mom, Hunter claimed he had never met Evelyn. Hunter's father, Randy, said he had never met the child either. Megan had nights at their family home. where she, would stay the night, and she would never bring the baby around.
Okay.
So, they're told, like, she's with her grandmother, or I've got a babysitter overnight. Megan did receive some help with babysitting, including her foster mother and her foster mother's sister, Sue, and we'll get to Sue in a little bit. It has been reported that Megan would leave Evelyn, who was just beginning to pull up, so like not yet walking, at home alone. You heard that correctly. Megan left a baby home alone for long hours to fend for herself.
I mean, who could do that? Look,
13, 14, 15-month-old baby.
I just would be beside myself. There's no way I could go and like have a good time or relax or anything, knowing that there's a little one that age by themselves.
No.
I mean,
dude, I can't even leave Rufus for more than like a couple hours. I start feeling guilty.
right.
Because I'm like, oh, I know he's at home and he misses us. So I'm like, we need to go back to our dog.
No, because at that age, you're like spending every day trying to keep them from killing themselves, basically, while they learn the world.
Babies have needs. They need diaper changes that can lead to diaper rashes. They need to be fed on a schedule, typically just a few hours, kind of a few hours, like every few hours.
Right.
I guess I should say. You can't just leave them alone. They're not they cannot sustain themselves.
No, it would be great if they could, but they're simply not capable.
Tommy Boswell would later say that when he stopped by to visit the trailer, Megan would meet him outside and bring Evelyn out to the vehicle. Since Megan was spending more and more time at Hunter's house, Tommy asked her to move out because they could rent the place for income. Like, you're living here rent-free. If you're not going to live here, if you're spending every night with this guy, you're practically living with him, then move out and or, be here and take care of your place. And we're going to get to this in a second because there's also a reason why Megan's not letting her dad in the house. So Tommy hires this guy. I think it's a bit of like maybe a maintenance man because they own this trailer park and he owns a business. So kind of like odd jobs this guy maybe was going to do. And he offered the guy, to live rent-free in the trailer for whatever, like in exchange or as part of the deal, like you can live here in this place rent-free or whatever. He tells the guy, like, if you need to make any repairs or paint it, feel free to do that. Let me know. I'll cover the expenses. My daughter's been living there. So when the man goes into the trailer, he is so shocked that he starts taking photos of the trailer's condition. And I posted some of those photos on our Instagram account so you can see the conditions of this trailer. And it's easy to see why Megan didn't want her dad inside. It was like an episode of Hoarders. This place wasn't just sloppy. It was a biohazard situation. There were old diapers filled with feces stuck to the flooring.
I mean, come on.
The place was filthy and the smell was horrendous. Food everywhere, old bottles, spoiled milk, just dirty, nasty. The man actually had to wear like PPE, like a respirator, just to clean the place up because it was so gross and smelled so bad. Old food left out. All of that stuff. Part of the floor had to be replaced because it had rotted out. And you have to keep in mind, Megan only lived in this place for a few months. But somehow managed to destroy it.
Well, yeah, especially, you can wreck any home, but especially a manufactured home, mobile home, if you will. A lot of the stuff, the subfloor is not very thick. It's the particle board kind of stuff. And it really doesn't take a lot to wreck it. It really does. Any kind of moisture or stuff like that.
Well, she called Ralph because they done wrecked it. Okay? Like, this place was trashed. And now, considering that Megan was leaving baby Evelyn at home for hours to fend for herself, I am even more concerned that this child was stuck living in this squalor.
Yeah. Yeah.
And staying alone in this nasty house with like shit diapers everywhere.
There's nothing okay about that for her or the baby.
Tommy was able to spend Thanksgiving of 2019 with his granddaughter. Family and friends began to notice a change in Megan's care of the child. And this seemed to start maybe in like October. it really coincided with Megan being hired at the chicken shack. Evelyn began to appear unkempt and disheveled. Her hair wasn't brushed. Her face was unwashed. She wasn't bathed properly. She wore dirty clothes with soiled diapers. Some friends reported seeing Evelyn in early December and said the child looked neglected. It was a complete 180 from what they were accustomed to seeing, because Evelyn had always been a very clean, happy baby, always wearing like fresh clothes, nice clothes, just well taken care of. Around this time, Megan was complaining about the baby to her friends, which was something she'd never done before. Megan had been happy to be a mom, it seemed like, and now she was telling friends that Evelyn was, quote, a mean child.
Oh, God.
I mean, she's 14, 15 months old. Like, how mean can she be?
Look how she's looking at me.
She tried to stab me.
Hey, what's your baby's problem,
She
man?
tried to run me over with a Ford Fusion.
Does that baby want to go?
That baby showed up at my doorstep with a wooden bat, telling me to get my ass out here. She's going to beat me. I mean, I'm not trying to make light of this, but like, come on. She's a mean child. Okay, so Megan told her friend Erica Stacy, whose son had dated Megan, that the baby was, quote, mean as shit.
Okay.
Well, maybe that's because you neglect the fuck out of her. But anyway, Caitlin Carter, a friend of Megan's, would later recall going to dinner with Megan and Evelyn. And she said, and this was like early December, and she said the baby was so dirty that she could smell her from across the table.
Oh, my gosh.
Just like old formula, sour. You know how babies get those little like rings around their neck from old, baby formula, and you got to like wipe them down and... but this kid would just be running around all crusty, and
I would just want to clean that baby.
I know. I can't. I mean, that would be the first thing I did. Would be like, I'd want to bathe this baby and put her in like some soft jammies or something, right, to make her comfy. Sue Whitson, sister of Megan's foster mother, babysat Evelyn 3 or 4 times, and she would later state that Evelyn had not been bathed and always smelled of urine. Each time, Sue Whitson would bathe Evelyn and clean her up, wash her clothes, and or put her in like a fresh outfit. I'm just blown away. I can't wrap my head around any person who treats a baby this way. Like, just absolutely neglects a helpless child.
No, because there's, if you treat someone in your life, you can rationalize it. They did this to you or they act like that. But that's the thing with a baby or kids, period, really. They're so innocent. They haven't done anything to deserve any of that. And it's just, I don't know how you can do that.
And
I
Evelyn
really
was
don't.
such a precious little angel. I mean, you can just see in her pictures, she has these really big blue eyes. She's just such a beautiful little girl. And you can see just like this little light around her. I mean,
Right.
I'm a baby person. I love babies. You know this. If there's a baby in the room, I'm going to want to hold it and squeeze it and love on it and make it, my grandchild. I love babies. I'm a baby whisperer. And this little baby, I mean, I would squeeze her little cheeks and just love her to death. She is so cute. And it just breaks my heart that anybody can look at a precious, like cherub, a cherub on earth, an angel on earth, these little babies, infants and toddlers, little children, and then just do horrible things to them.
No.
That is pure evil, because they are such purely innocent little souls, and to harm them is just beyond me. And like, how are you going to let a little baby like that stink so badly that your friend can smell the baby across the table? That is just unacceptable.
Big time.
It's disgusting. So then Megan suddenly stops appearing with the child. When people are asking questions, Megan will tell them that Evelyn had gone to see her father, Ethan, that she was spending, quote, real time with him. And Megan would say things like, isn't that just precious? Like, he finally wants to be with his daughter. He wants to be a dad. He's finally taking an interest in her.
Yeah, and they're like, maybe he's taking a bath. Maybe the baby's taking a bath.
She's spending more and more time at Hunter's home, like practically living there, as I mentioned. Megan had been moving things into a storage building since moving out of the Sugar Hollow Road trailer. That fella who had moved into the trailer and was cleaning it recalled seeing Megan, I guess, moving her stuff out and into like an outbuilding multiple times, but that he never saw her with the baby, like when she was moving stuff, which, I mean, that makes sense, but he had not seen the baby at all. When Tommy became concerned and demanded to know where his granddaughter was, Megan explained that she was with Ethan. Tommy insisted they get a lawyer. I mean, Tommy was glad that Ethan was taking an active interest in the child and, you know, being a dad. But he was like, you know, Ethan can't keep her indefinitely. At some point, we need to get her back. Ethan's going to have to bring her back. Like, he can't just keep the kid.
Right.
Well, at this point, you know, Megan's just kind of like making these excuses. Oh, well, I don't know when he's going to bring her back, but, you know, I know it's not forever. And, you know, just kind of stringing her dad along. And Tommy's growing more worried and kind of angry. December turns into January. There's no sign of his granddaughter. She misses Christmas with the family. I mean, that's a big deal. You know, you want to celebrate the child's first Christmas. She's 15 months old, so she's, you know, kind of old enough to toddle around maybe and get a little present and play with her little toy or whatever. I mean, you know, it's a big deal. You know, he's just like, where is she? Megan tells him Hunter's mother is babysitting Evelyn. But again, Hunter's family reiterates they have never met this child.
Damn.
Now, in the meantime, Megan's on social media. She has multiple Facebook accounts, but one of those is in the name Maggie Wood, as if she is married to Hunter. She's telling people they're engaged. Megan had several Facebook profiles at the time. There was another under the name of Megan Nicole Keys. That account had a bunch of old photos and had not been updated since 2017. Those photos featured Ethan, her ex-boyfriend. People noted that the last photos of Evelyn were posted in early November, like around November 4th. But there were photos of Megan and Hunter. Megan had posted pics of like this brand new home under construction, like a really nice house, claiming that she was moving into this home with Hunter. I remember seeing some of these posts like being passed around once this story broke in Facebook groups and on Reddit.
So it's weird that your kid just like disappears, and it's like now you're, you know, basically crafting this this new life, if you will.
Oh my gosh, Casey Anthony.
And I think anyone, even someone who barely knows you, would notice something like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's strange, right? Megan and Hunter, I mean, they're like going out, they're having fun, hanging out with his parents, hanging out with friends, you know, posting pictures, like big groups hanging out and whatever, having a good time, partying. They take trips to Ripley's Aquarium in Gatlinburg. There's a picture of Megan and Hunter, like one of those they take of you, like a professional photographer takes of you in front of like a dorky sign.
They're like, believe it or not, we're in Gatlinburg.
Yes, exactly. Believe it or not, they are in Gatlinburg, Dylan. They out in the streets. Now, the last confirmed sighting of Evelyn was on December 10th or 11th by the babysitter, Sue Whitson. As Tommy continues pressing Megan, she again changes her story. Now Megan says that there's a, quote, babysitter, not mentioning anybody's name, that had been caring for Evelyn while she was at work, and that this person took off with the child and has disappeared. Megan made claims that the babysitter stopped answering calls. So as January turns into February, she's giving Tommy different stories. Tommy has not seen his granddaughter since Thanksgiving. He missed Christmas with the baby. I mean, you know, he's like not okay with any of this. Megan has told him all these different stories about Evelyn's whereabouts. Now, he knows Megan has not been honest with him, and Tommy finally tells his daughter to, quote, cut the bullshit. Like, I know you're lying to me. Megan kind of continues to fumble around that babysitter story. Finally, Tommy contacts child welfare authorities to make a report. He tells them his granddaughter Evelyn is missing. And this is a quote from KSA TV. that Tommy made. He said, quote, "I don't know what happened, but I'm the one who called DCS and got this started. I ain't slept nights. I've cried like a baby. I just want my grandbaby to come home."
Damn.
Evelyn's mother, Megan Boswell, reported her daughter missing on February 18th of 2020 to the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office. At the time, she said her daughter had been missing since December of the year before, so December of 2019. Megan told the media, quote, "Well, the reason I didn't report it or anything was I knew the person who had her, and I didn't want them to run away with her. As soon as they thought anything was going on, they kind of vanished. So I'm kind of worried, where they're at, what they're doing with her at this point in time."
Well, according to you, they've already ran away with her. I mean, it doesn't make sense. No one's ever, that I've ever known, and at no time in my life did I have to wonder where my baby was. I've never had to hunt for the babies like it's a set of car
I've never
keys.
misplaced my baby.
No.
Babies. No.
Never.
An Amber Alert was issued on February 19th regarding the Tennessee toddler, stating, Evelyn is missing and that she's 2 feet tall, weighs 28 pounds, she has dirty blonde hair, big blue eyes, and that she was last seen wearing a pink tracksuit, pink shoes, and a pink hair bow. And that is where we finish part 1, and we're going to pick up part 2 next week. There is so much to discuss in this case. I know part 1 has been lengthy and there's a lot of information. Part 2 is going to be even wilder. Megan has a real problem with telling the truth. It is so reminiscent of the Casey Anthony case.
It really is. And she's not the only one that has a problem with the truth and facts in this case. And that's what makes it all the more weird. Oh, my gosh.
Thank you so much, Dylan, for taking the time to sit down and talk with me. I know this was a lengthy one-parter. Part 2, I can't guarantee it won't be lengthy as well because there's so much to talk about. But like I said before, this case disturbed me in such a way, like it really left a mark on me. I was obsessed when this child went missing. I remember where I was when I got the Amber Alert, where I was sitting, the house we lived in. Like, I remember everything about it because I immediately was like, oh my gosh, this is just across the state line in Tennessee. We were in North Carolina at the time, and I'm familiar with this area. Start looking for news articles, like what's happened, because it didn't really specify, is this a familial abduction or whatever. So, I start looking into it, start seeing the news articles. And that baby was so precious and just those big blue eyes. The minute I saw her picture, my heart melted and I could not stop obsessing over this case.
Yeah.
I was locked in.
No, and early on I was just like, this is not going to be good. It never is in situations like this when people change their stories. There's not many details. It just doesn't make sense. It's not logical.
I mean, you probably remember I would be like telling you like this is the update or this is what people out here saying and whatever. I mean,
oh yeah.
Yeah. Cause we both were kind of just taken with this whole story.
Yes. Now I'm getting pissed.
All right. Thank you, Dylan. I appreciate all of our listeners who have tuned in. I know we were a little wordy today. Sometimes we get on a roll and can't stop talking. But we always appreciate you listening to the show. And don't forget to mark your calendars if you're near Western North Carolina or want to take a little road trip, September 25th. The Fuck Yeah, It's Fall Festival.
That's right. I'm going to dress like a leaf and I'm going to jump off the building. It'll be like leaves falling.
Amazing.
That's a big old leaf.
People are going to really come out for that, bud. Now you've overpromised. And you're going to underdeliver.
That's my move.
It is.
That's my MO.
It is. All right. Thank you so much and have a good week. We'll see you soon.
Bye.